Zambia is in an opportune position to benefit from the growing demand for copper to support the global energy transition. Yet, the country faces various economic, social, and political challenges that threaten to hinder progress in socio-economic transformation, particularly within the mining sector. I am Vincent Obisie-Orlu, lead researcher at GGA, and to help us unpack on the subject is Vincent Obisie-Orlu, researcher in the Natural Resource Governance Program. Can you just give us a bit of contextual background on some of the key challenges the country faces?
Zambia is currently facing a debt challenge where it had defaulted on its IMF-related loans, Eurobonds, in 2020. Now, in addition to this, Zambia's mining industry has been known to be the bad boy in many ways, changing its mineral tax regime over and over and over again. The country had changed its mineral tax regime at least 16 times in the last 20 years.
Why so many changes in such a short period of time?
A number of these changes were made to meet social pressure, but also some of them were made in response to changes and shifts in the copper price.
You write this in your policy briefing that it also diminished investment growth. How did this happen?
So without a stable mining regulatory regime, without stable taxation or minerals tax regime, you cannot make long-term investments in the mining industry. Mining is a long-term game. It's not a you invest today, you'll get your profits tomorrow. No. In mining, you make an investment today, you're expecting that you're going to be here for at least 30 years. It's going to be 30 years before you actually start to hit pay dirt and make your returns, right? Because it's very, very investment heavy, but also requires a lot of infrastructure to ensure you're able to manage this. First Quantum Minerals had intended to make a $2 billion investment in one of their mines in Zambia. However, they could not because of this unstable mineral tax regime. That has caused Zambia to lose out on the potential output and the tax revenue that they could have gained from that.
So are you saying that the changes within the regulatory framework has resulted in the diminished investment growth?
Under the previous administrations, yes. Prior to Chilema's administration coming in and now making the stance that they're going to address this issue with mine taxation, this was the situation on the ground.
What are some of the key prospects that we can look into in line with future-proofing Zambia? What has the government said to do, particularly within the mining sector?
They've moved to address challenges in the mining licensing process and streamlined the database on that. They've also moved to do away with the VAT refund and address that issue that's been plaguing relations between the Zambian government and the private sector mining companies. However, more needs to be done in terms of addressing some long-standing issues. In particular, I mentioned the Vedenta Zambian government's issue over a mine that under Edgar Lungu's administration was taken from Vedenta and is now still in arbitration. Also, Zambia, the Chilema administration also needs to address and manage the current situation with the Mpani mine, which was formerly owned by Glencore and is now without a private sector owner partner, right, where debt was taken out to buy that mine from Glencore.
In your policy briefing, you write that there's a growing demand for copper and how it's going to meet the net zero goal and how Zambia is in an opportune position. Can you just unpack how is copper regarded as a critical mineral and why Zambia, in fact, is in an opportune position in this regard?
Right, so Zambia is Africa's second largest copper producer behind the Democratic Republic of Congo. And while Zambia's copper quality might be less than the DRC's, Zambia has one major advantage that the DRC doesn't. In spite of all of the issues that we've raised and discussed, Zambia still remains a democratic, politically stable country on the continent. Zambia is the 7th largest copper producer in the world. Copper is a critical mineral because it is the best conductor of electricity that we have, right? It's going to be used in every single technology, from your electric cars all the way to your solar panels. It is critical to all of them. And without it, the energy transition cannot really get off the ground.
Let's speak then about the quality of the copper.
All of the deep, very rich ore deposits of copper were found by our great-grandfathers, right? So now we're using what some in the industry call degraded and less heavy ore, right? So that ore is very expensive to process and extract. You have to go deeper into the earth. It takes more time to extract it. It requires more energy, more power, more infrastructure, right? So it is a very investment heavy thing to do in order to extract that ore. But in doing so, you are able to also make less than what you would have made with a fresh, richer ore deposit in comparison to someone like the DRC.
Walk us through some of the disadvantages and perhaps advantages of having this particular approach.
My personal preference for Zambia as a country right now with regards to its minerals royalty taxation system is to have a profit-based minerals royalty taxation system, MRT. A profit-based MRT has you having the companies calculating their tax based on their profits, right? As opposed to other systems which you would have calculating a price-based minerals tax MRT, which would have you calculate based on the price. As the copper price moves from this band to this band, you will pay this percentage of whatever, right? Or another mineral taxation regime is the production-based. As you produce X amount of tons for production, you will be paying X, Y amount in taxes, right? One disadvantage of it is that, companies can fudge the numbers, right? They can pretend that we're not making as much profit on this.
Just around this particular approach and how it would benefit the people of Zambia, what is then required? And actually speak to some of the recommendations you put within the policy briefing.
So I recommend that a profit-based MRT is combined with a transparency initiative like the EITI to ensure that what companies are saying they're going to pay is what they actually end up paying, right? Another recommendation I make is that Zambia needs to continue. While the government has now made a lot of progress on its commitments towards transparency and addressing some of the existing issues, more needs to be done. We need to see a resolution to the Mopani issue. That mine needs to be sorted. Whoever the final partner is going to be, that needs to be done as soon as possible. Additionally, the Vedenta question needs to be answered.
Vince, thank you very much for sharing those insights. While the Zambian government has made a commitment to resolving issues in the mining rights, licensing process, and increasing its transparency, more needs to be done to create a stable and reliable mining regulatory environment to enable broad-based development. For more in-depth discussions on policy matters in Africa, please join us again. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.